The movie begins with Curdy Church, a skilled assassin. On a rainy night in the city, Curdy eats on the sidewalk, while watching a club across the street. 3 American men leave the club, and chat with 3 women near the parking area. After the women leave, 3 more men join the group, making 6 in total. Curdy moves in closer, throws a bomb at the group, and kills them all, destroying their motorcycle. He then pulls a man's body from his bag, shoots a survivor, and places the gun in the survivor's hand, to make it appear as if a fierce battle took place. As he prepares to leave, he notices a beautiful woman in a blue dress, May, watching him from a distance. He ignores her, and quickly leaves before the police arrive. Later, Advisor Boone gets a report from PI about the explosion that killed his men. It's believed to be the work of a rival group, but Boone is skeptical. Chinese mobster Raja Don pays Curdy $60,000 in cash for his successful mission, but reveals the real job isn't finished until the enemy group's leader is killed. Raja Don shows Curdy a photo of his daughter, who was brutally murdered by the group. Moving on to a club, where Jimmy, an American, is impressively assembling weapons with his eyes closed. When someone tells him that someone is looking for him outside, Jimmy panics and runs away upon seeing Curdy. He races through Bangkok, taking breaks in pedicabs. Curdy follows closely. After a long chase, Jimmy crashes into a motorcycle, and is knocked out, allowing Curdy to catch him, who tries to assure that he means no harm, but Jimmy is suspicious, and tries to run again. Curdy explains he needs a gun for an important mission, and offers a golf club from his Chinese boss, in exchange for a gun. Jimmy agrees, fearing for his safety, and lets Curdy take as much ammunition as he needs, warning him the city is haunted. Curdy hides his bag of money under the floorboards of an old tower, in a public cemetery. While eating, he watches monks perform a ceremony at a nearby temple. May suddenly appears behind him, calling the ceremony monks' ascension. Suspicious, he pulls out his gun, and asks her why she's following him. She says she was guided by the voice of prayer to the tower, which she believes is fate. He is unconvinced, and ties her to a pole, gagging her to keep her quiet. The next day, he prepares his weapons for the upcoming mission, adding extras like silencers. He focuses on a club called Kitty Cat, across from the cemetery. At night, he hears May's trembling voice, and starts to worry about his own safety. He unties her, gives her water, and remains suspicious of her. She vaguely explains he was sent because his time was up. Before resting, he asks her to help keep an eye on the club, and wake him if she sees anyone familiar. She initially refuses, knowing he will kill people, but he convinces her it's necessary to eliminate the kidnappers. Soon after, a group arrives in front of the club, on motorcycles and in cars, opening fire on the guards. Curdy takes action, shooting the attackers one by one, with precise shots, causing chaos and making them flee. The next day, Big Boss Kata is busy with his unusual hobby, sticking a hot iron into his cheek. Pihai reports to Kata about the failed mission, and mentions a possible sniper. Despite this, Advisor Boone believes the attack wasn't part of the enemy's strategy. Meanwhile, Curdy forces May to reveal the location of the girls, threatening to kill innocent monks, if she doesn't cooperate. With no other options, she takes him to a waste management site, where she shows him the body of a girl named Mei Ying, who was murdered years ago. The information isn't enough, so she guides him to a heavily guarded house, suggesting he prepare thoroughly before acting. In the evening, he receives another reward, after successfully killing 11 people in a nightclub. His anger grows when he learns they were targeted by the Chang Kao Group, a notorious human and drug trafficking syndicate, known for wiping out its enemies. Despite Raja Don's advice to stop, Curdy insists on finishing the job. Meanwhile, Big Boss Kata and his men arrive at the nightclub, not for further violence, but on a peace mission with the hostile group. They bring an elephant as a symbol of peace. Curdy notices white spots on the elephant, and suspects it might be painted. May explains the spots are natural, and recounts a sacred story about Buddha's mother dreaming of a white elephant. Realizing the elephant is sacred, Curdy worries about accidentally hitting it, and decides not to take any chances, abandoning his plan for the night. On his way home, Boone suggests to Kata that his son should take over the mission. However, Kata doubts his son's ability, as he is rarely around. The next day, Curdy visits Jimmy at the club. He easily beats up the men who try to stop him, and opens the door with such force, it shocks the girls inside. Jimmy warns Curdy of the consequences if he is caught by the Chang Kao Group. He reveals he doesn't know who he's up against, has ended his collaboration with Raja Don, and now works alone. He demands more advanced weapons. Initially, Jimmy refuses, due to unpaid debts, but he recalls Curdy's past help, and agrees to show him sophisticated weapons. Jimmy takes him to a ship docked at the harbor, where he stores high-end weapons, including an M4 sniper, and a Barrett M82. Curdy picks the Barrett, despite its loud noise, and agrees to the $10,000 daily rental fee, asking for a bonus gun and a punch as a trick if caught. The punch ends up bleeding his nose, and damaging his clothes. Curdy returns to the tower, and finds May gone, but is relieved his money is still there. Suspecting she might be at the temple, he checks from another building, and is surprised when she appears, predicting his concern about being discovered. She sees a photo of Raja Don's child, and questions Curdy about its significance. He explains he's just doing a job for money. She tells him the monks know she's hiding in the tower, but urges him to continue his work, to rid the world of criminals. He is conflicted, unsure if his work is noble or harmful, but admits he needs the money. She warns him to take the same route back to avoid ghosts. He reaches a building, and spots girls being tortured by mobsters. Furious, he kills the mobsters with precise shots. May appears, distracting him, and a sniper's shot hits his left shoulder. He tries to return fire, but runs out of bullets, so he hides by a trash can, while the mafia searches for him. Curdy emerges, confronts two thugs near a parking lot, takes their car keys, and kills one who resists. He narrowly escapes the mafia's gunfire, drives chaotically, and eventually stops near a village. There, he discovers May and several frightened girls in the back of a truck. The girls refuse to leave, fearing the mafia will chase them, so May takes him back to the temple, where monks use a sacred potion and herbs to treat his wound. Meanwhile, Boone scolds his men for failing to kill Curdy, and contacts Jimmy to verify the weapons found on the building's roof. Jimmy claims the gun was from his store, but lies about being robbed and injured, providing a false description of the thief. Boone remains skeptical, and orders his men to keep an eye on Jimmy. Curdy notices mafia members watching Jimmy, from the top of the building, and attacks them. He meets with Jimmy to plan his next move. During the meeting, he answers a phone taken from a thug, and finds boss Kata on the line. Kata offers to negotiate, explaining most girls were sold by their parents to repay debts, and he made a small profit from their sales. Curdy is uninterested, and continues his mission. After the call, he discards the phone, and threatens to shoot Jimmy if he doesn't provide more guns. Jimmy reluctantly agrees, offering an assault rifle for $1,000 a day, and warning of the dangers outside. Back at the tower, May questions him about his feelings when killing. He says he does it for money, and feels no remorse. She is confused, unable to believe someone could kill just for money. She suggests he should repent, sensing he hides his true feelings. When the monk rings the bell, he realizes she has left, and sees her heading to the temple. He tries to contact Raja Don for the remaining payment, but is ignored. He follows Raja Don from his hotel to a brothel, pretending to be a customer, to gather information. A girl reveals Raja Don is on the top floor. When the girl screams, thugs start chasing Curdy. He defeats them, and breaks into Raja Don's room, and demands Raja Don fill his bag with money, and explain the true motive behind his work. Raja Don doubts his concern for the girls, and offers him an extra job, to kill Boone's advisor for $1 million. Curdy is intrigued, but questions, why not kill the big boss instead? Raja Don explains the big boss is sick, and may not have long to live. Meanwhile, mobsters torture Jimmy, pressing sticks into his bones. Unable to endure the pain, Jimmy reveals Curdy's name, but insists he doesn't know who Curdy works for. The next day, the big boss receives a report, every hospital has been checked, but there's no sign of Curdy. Boone suggests involving the police, in the alleged kidnapping of several girls. Raja Don, eager to prove his reliability, offers to help catch the sniper. Jimmy, still under the watch of the mobsters, pretends to go to the bathroom, to contact Curdy. He warns that Chang Kao has discovered his identity. He asks Jimmy to do one last thing, adopt May, and send her to school until she graduates. He also tells Jimmy to come to the tower to pick up May, and collect the gun rental money. After their conversation, Jimmy discards his phone, which is checked by the thugs. Raja Don arrives, pretending to offer cooperation to capture Curdy, while secretly orchestrating the events. Curdy gives May a white dress as a gift, which makes her emotional. He thanks her, and says he's leaving, instructing her to wait at the tower for someone. At the airport, he receives a call from Jimmy, who says he has collected the money, but May is missing from the tower. Curdy realizes he's been set up by Jimmy, when mobsters arrive at the airport to arrest him. After beating up one of them, Curdy steals a car, and drives to the tower, only to find the monks killed, and May gone. He drags a dead body out of the tower, and follows the mobsters' convoy to the big boss's house. The mobsters realize they've been followed, and open fire. Kurti speeds his car into the wall of the room, where the big boss and his men are gathered. Surrounded, Kurti threatens to kill the big boss, if anyone shoots. Raja Don and Jimmy arrive. Raja Don plans to kill Kurti before he reveals everything, but Jimmy shoots Raja Don first, getting shot in the stomach in return. The big boss learns his son orchestrated the murders, and orders his men to bring in the girls. Kurti asks about the girl kidnapped from the temple, but Boone says no one was taken, only the monks. He shows a photo of May, but the big boss says the girl in the photo died 30 years ago. Kurti is left in disbelief, struggling with the revelation, a figment of his imagination, born from his trauma and guilt. May represents the helplessness and sorrow of human trafficking victims, as well as the lingering hope and goodness in his heart. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification so that you can watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.